Hello everybody, welcome to Let's Play hello everybody, welcome to Patchpen Plays Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last time, I went through the second day of the case, and some really big, presumably important things were revealed. And I wasn't recording my audio. So, I played through the entire case to get back to that point. And now I am recording it again. Unfortunately, that does mean... See, I have two saves on trial ladder now to make sure that I have trial... Yeah, to make sure that I have trial ladder. And, yeah. So, I'm not going to be able to react as I was hoping. Like, you're gonna miss out on all those reactions. So, I mean, you already have. You might have seen it already. I uploaded it anyway. I might take that down. Or maybe I'll make it so it's not public, but there's a link to it in the description of this if you really want to see it. Something like that. Anyway, let's get into this. February 23rd, 11:56 a.m., District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Are trials always like this with you? Like you're swimming... Okay. Like you're swimming up from the bottom of a lake, about to reach the surface. But no matter how much... If I can speak this time... But no matter how hard you paddle, I guess read is more like it. I can speak fine, but I was speaking the wrong speaking things. But no matter how hard you paddle, you never seem to get there. Pretty much. Except today, we're swimming in quicksand. So what happened to your sister anyway? Apparently she got called off to the judge's chambers. Probably something to do with that piece of cloth. So, this is where you turn the trial around, right? Our only weapon, a tiny, insignificant piece of cloth. I'm the one who's starting to feel tiny and insignificant, to tell the truth. Hola, partner. They say you show a red cloth to a bull and it'll fire up its temper. That's what they told me when I was a youngin', at least. Officer Marshall. Thought I'd come take a look-see at how the trial's going. Looks like I'm late. You've got the home ranch locked down tighter than a foot in enemy territory. Hard to slip out, huh? What is going on over there anyway? All the police I've seen these last few days have been really on edge. Don't you got enough on your plate without worrying about other people, compadre? You could be worrying about the chief prosecutor's taste in mufflers, for example. Officer Marshall? The whole muffler thing didn't have anything to do with scarves. She wasn't even wearing a scarf. You don't say. I don't just beat all. I've seen the red breeze blow at her slender neck many a time. Saw it that day too. She was wearing a red muffler. What? At the wood ceremony that afternoon. Had Ruth seen it too, I'd reckon. What does that mean? I didn't realize that at the time when I was recording this the first time, but they explained that pretty much immediately when the trial starts. Well, not immediately, it's like the first thing presented. In the photograph taken at the crime scene, she wasn't wearing a scarf. So, Mr. wasn't mistaken. Well, it's about like it's not a huge mystery that we have to solve. It's just given to us. So it's kind of funny that they're making a thing out of it. Well, it's about time. No, I'll talk about that later. There's something I noticed while I was playing through. I mean, I noticed it the first time, but it caught my attention more when I was playing through to get back to this point. But I'll talk about that later. As it isn't relevant yet. Remember, partner, sometimes you gotta grab the bull by the horns. Sometimes you just gotta let that bill go where it will. Time will tell. Ugh, I have a bad feeling about this. So what are we swimming in now, Mr. Wright? With steak sauce, I can hook you up with some fine ribs. Ooh-wee. February 23rd, 1232, District Courtroom number 9. I'd like to resume. What's up? The judge keeps looking over at the prosecution. Is something wrong, Mr. Edgeworth? Your face is blue, your lips are purple, you're sweating bullets, that furrowed brow, those grinding teeth, the watery eyes. What's more, your eyes are unfocused, you're doubled over, your back is bent. It can't be. This can't happen. I wonder what happened to Mr. Edgeworth. Well then, I believe it's time we continued on with this trial. During our recess, I had requested that the prosecution conduct an investigation. This is unacceptable! It seems our prosecutor is quite beside himself. Excuse me. Knock knock? Yeah. I might have just not re-recorded this episode. But I wanted to do this guy's voice more. I wanted you to hear me doing this guy's voice. Who's there? I love this. Okay, what's with this guy? A strange stuffy aura seems to be filling the courtroom. I love how they do that blinking animation. They just pause on it. Have him stare at you. That happens a lot. In case I didn't just make that obvious. Man, I really wish you could have gotten my first reactions to these things. Hey! The temperature rose 5.7 degrees when that man came in. Who on earth is he? It's just very unsettling, and it's genius. Ah, it's you! Oh, heh. Sorry I'm late, OG. The roads are packed. There it is, there's the voice. Sorry I'm late, OG. The roads are packed, it's just me. Long time no see, eh, OG? How you been? Swim much these days? Hello. No, I've been so busy. Busy, OG, my boy. You have to make time to relax. Yes, indeed. OG seems to be his nickname for the judge? I'm afraid you're right. Very afraid. Sorry, but who are you? Aha! So you're Righto, the attorney. I've heard good things about you, son. Thanks. So sorry about a little worthy giving you all that trouble, eh? You know, we should all go swimming together sometime. Jolly! Little worthy? Mr. Wright, you don't know the district chief of police? Chief of police. He's the top-ranking police officer in the entire district. The heavy stare. Name's Gant! Damon Gant! Pleased to meet you, everyone! So what do we owe this honor today? It's been over 2 years since you last came to this courtroom, isn't it? hasn't it? Okay, yeah, that does. Well, it's Whirly here. Look at the poor fellow. I just thought I'd help out by bringing this. There's the muffler. Hey, that's my sister's muffler. So Miss Star wasn't just seeing things. When the crime occurred, Miss Sky really was wearing that muffler. And she thought that she had thought that she saw it because she heard it mentioned. Which explains why she thought there was blood there. Which is because it's red. Makes no sense. I mean, she actually did see it, so that makes more sense now, but still. But to think it was stuffed into that exhaust pipe! On little Woozy's car, no less. It's really quite embarrassing, even for us. Oh, what's this? It's what you'd call a switchblade knife. Quite perplexing, this. Chief, what kind of outfit are you running? Yeah, okay, so that's something I noticed. I thought I noticed the first time, and replaying through it is definitely the case. So, they didn't actually say it, but the knife was wrapped in the muffler. They don't say it until later. And I didn't realize it until they said it. Later. But, makes sense why he's presenting it now. I just, took that totally for granted the first time. Mr. Edgeworth, how could they miss such a vital piece of evidence? If your investigators are this lax, how do you expect us to do our job? Now, wait a minute, Whirly! I've no desire to hear your excuse. I'm telling you to wait! Oh, didn't you hear me? Have a look at this document where it says, person in charge of investigation? There's no mistaking that signature, is there, Miles Edgeworth? That's not fair. On the day of the crime, I had... You're head in the clouds because you got that award. I know how you feel. But you're the person in charge. I'll expect a written apology. And I think it's about this point where I said, yeah, this guy's definitely the murderer. I don't know how or why, but, we've already introduced a few characters. They're not going to be able to keep introducing them. The real guy isn't gonna come totally out of left field. So, it's gotta be somebody they introduce along the way. And, just looking at this guy, and all the suspicious stuff going on with the way this case is being handled, and he's obviously the person who would be in charge of that. So yeah, I'm pegging him as the guy. Let me think. I mean, I think second place would be Marshall. Just because, Star's too obvious. She's got the whole motive and everything going. And there's one other character that this case is introduced, and I'm going to talk about him later. What? No, sorry. What? Are you serious? Don't be too upset! We'll find a way to clean up this mess that you made. This is the first time I've ever seen Mr. Edgeworth at a loss for... Excuse me. At a loss for words. This kind of major blunder is unlike you, Mr. Edgeworth. Yeah. The court accepts this new evidence. But I'd like to ask the defense a favor first. Yes? Just to be sure, I'd like to take a look at the blade of this knife. The blade, Your Honor? Well, I don't see why not. Could you open it up for me, I wonder? Yes, well, I think all you have to do is push that switch and... If I cut my finger, Mr. Wright, I wouldn't be able to pound my gavel anymore. Yeah, but if I cut my finger, I wouldn't be able to point it at people anymore. Like, you'd have to cut it pretty bad to stop you from... Like, okay. If you bandage up your finger, it's more likely to be stuck pointing than it is to be stuck not pointing. Like, it would be very difficult to bandage it up in a way that isn't pointing. And I would know, I've had my fingers bandaged. The gavel thing, the judge has a point, although it only takes, it doesn't take more than one finger. Okay, I mean, yeah, you would want at least 3 probably to hold the gavel, preferably more. I don't need to get into the logistics of this. Come on, let's go. Come on! Okay, just hurry up and open it! Emma's getting exasperated with me. And, when I saw that tag, I was like, yep, that confirms it. Because it's linked to... I mean, we'll point that out in a moment. There's a small tag on this knife. It seems to say SL9 2. What does that mean? Well, I've heard something similar. DL6 of DL6 incident fame. But it's strange. Maybe, but who am I to judge? That's it. That's the line I was trying to think of last time. It's, yeah. Huh? What is? I tried to make that reference last time and I couldn't think of it quickly enough. And I'm glad I did this time. Even though it doesn't really make sense in context. Ugh. I'm not certain, but I've got the feeling I've seen this somewhere before. Letters like this, and letters that looked a lot like this, somehow. Okay. Ah! Don't scare me like that. I'm the one who's scared. Where's this knife blade? The tip is broken off. And the stokehead stain. Blood? This does not excuse the actions of the police department. I would like to hear an explanation from the chief of police himself. I'm terribly sorry, but could I ask you to testify for us about the split between the prosecutors and the police and this knife? Sure thing, not a problem, not even a real little one, really. That smile. This knife is special, but I can't say how here. Unless there's evidence to prove a connection between this knife and Goodman. That was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do an investigation. A detective was killed at the police department. See? What a mess. The time of crime? 5:15. Scary coincidence, eh? It's not officially linked to this here case, so I can't talk much about it. There was a murder at the police department? A detective? That's hush-hush information, OJ. We haven't exactly announced it yet. Wait a second. You said 5:15. That's the exact time that Detective Goodman was killed at the prosecutor's office. I think at this point I cracked a joke like maybe the other detective is Detective Badman. I don't know why I felt the need to reiterate that joke. It's not a great joke. Let's move on. Order! Anyway, we at the department were all flustered, as you might well assume. We're in the middle of a top-secret investigation. Don't tell anyone, okay? I think we understand the police department's situation. Well, Mr. Wright, 2 detectives killed at the same time in 2 different places. Chances of that are really slim, scientifically speaking, of course. like to exercise my right to cross-examine the witness. Very well. However, keep your questions focused on the case at hand. Excuse me. Special. Hard to come by this particular knife anywhere else. Might that special thing be this little tag? Oh, sorry, Righto, but I can't say that now, not that. We've established that the knife in Goodman's chest was this knife. Now, why was there another knife at the scene of the crime? That's quite a mystery. And like a mystery, it's wrapped in something. A muffler. Unless there's evidence. Yeah, that's where they said it, and I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense why it came up. I didn't really think about that before. But now I have, because, you know, I've been through this whole thing before. But that's what I was doing last time. Anyway, unless this knife was found on the scene of our crime. I think that makes it connected to the case, don't you? See, there's a lot of things that go on at the department I can't explain. It's delicate, okay? Sorry, Righto. Maybe there's something about this knife that'll give us a clue. Let's examine the knife while we can, Righto. She called me Righto. Okay. I think perhaps the pieces are falling into place. I should try presenting it. Yeah. And I actually should, because there's more pressing to do. I'm not gonna stall. I'm not gonna miss out on dialogue by presenting this, because it just loops back in. This one. Wait a second. Ah, at last, an honest-to-goodness objection! This knife? This has to have something to do with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean? Aha! An honest-to-goodness, what do you mean? From Reggie! This is great! Look at the tag on this knife. It reads SL92. And this is important. Why? Over here we also have a memo that was on the body of the victim. What's this? 6 minus 7s 12 divided by 2? Your Honor, it's upside down. Upside... The printed name on the memo makes it look like it's right side up, but turn it around and what do you get? Ah! Aha! Whoever wrote this note was holding the paper upside down. SL9. That's the same thing that was written on the knife's tag. Order. Well, Chief? Oh well. I guess the cat's out of the bag. You win, Righto. I win? What game is this guy playing? This knife was evidence in the case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. So this knife was stolen? Yes, but on the day of the murder. It was evidence, you say. Was it in fact a murder weapon? Nice! Good show, Little Worthy. It was a murder weapon, as it happens. It was evidence for a case long since solved. So this knife was stolen on the day of the murder. And it was found in the exhaust pipe of Edward's car. Hard to think there isn't a connection there. That was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do an investigation. Something happened at the police department too, huh? You got a good look in your eyes there, Righto, my boy. Sharp, hungry. So something did happen, and why wasn't I informed? Why weren't you informed? Well, why didn't you ask? No matter, I understand. You're busy, what with Lana's case and all. Well, what happened? What happened at the police department that day? A detective was killed at the police department. On the same day that a detective was killed in the prosecutor's parking lot, another detective, was killed at the police department? That's a fact! Surprising, isn't it, Audrey? I'm at a loss for words. And the perpetrator? Do you have a suspect? Well, there was a suspect. Just arrested him, in fact. And playing through the rest of the case again, there is a character that was introduced that has a singular similarity to Lana. That I believe points to him possibly having been the suspect in this case. This other case. Although I'm trying to follow through with the logic of that. Based on what I know from the rest of this trial. It just doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Let's keep going. I'll have plenty of time to think this through over the next week before I record the next episode. Just arrested? That was quick. I mean, I've had all this week to think about it, honestly, because... Well, I just re-encountered the character. And then, like... wait a minute. Okay, the point is that I have all of this week to think about it. I didn't have all of last week because I forgot the character existed last week. And now that I remember him, I have time to think about the implications of what that might mean. So he's like... We know so little about him, it wouldn't explain a whole ton. So I don't know what I have to think about even. The bigger question is one that hasn't been revealed yet because I need to keep going. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Maybe you could help, Righto. I suppose I could help. If you help me by giving data on your case. Ooh, good one, this kid's sharp. Okay, here's the deal. I'll tell you one thing, and one thing only. Okay, we actually know this one. And I think I did go through this because it's an optional dialogue. So, when did the murder at the police department occur? Now that's a sharp question, righto? Very sharp. Well, my boy, you're gonna love this. And it goes back into the, yeah, okay. Tell you one thing and one thing only, and it lets you just go back and pick a different thing. Let's go with that one. Well, how was the detective killed? How was he killed? Now that's the interesting part. It was what we in the force call a stabbing with a knife. A knife. That's exactly the same as Detective Goodman. Is it gonna turn out to be this knife? The one we have? No, that's impossible, because there's like a 30-minute drive between the prosecutor's office and the police department. Ah, okay, wait. Yeah, and there was like 5 minutes between... Yeah, no, that wouldn't make any sense. Wait a minute, I want to look at the autopsy report again. And within an hour and a half of 4 p.m. So that's 2:30 to 5:30. I mean, we have the witness, but like, still. I get the feeling the witness didn't witness what she thinks she witnessed. And I think I'm starting to put the puzzle pieces together. But it's still impossible. Because of the... Okay. I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking yet because it relies on something we haven't learned yet. And we gotta keep going. That doesn't make any sense. Wait a moment. No. Let's keep going. I have all week to think about it. Let's just keep going. But you know, that's not the only thing that was exactly the same. Huh, what do you mean? There were both similarities between the two cases and the cause of death. Seems like I'm gonna have to press a bit, and then he goes into... Alright, let's pick option number 3, which is option number 1. So, tell me, where was the victim found? Well, I can't speak on where the corpse was found. But I can say the crime took place in the evidence room at the police department. The evidence room? Wait a second, I have heard of that. The evidence room? Didn't he mention that in his testimony just now? This knife was evidence of the case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. But it would have to have been stolen like a half hour before because of the driving time. Because it wound up in the exhaust pipe at 5:15, which is when the stabbing was occurred, which means the knife was nowhere near the scene when the stabbing happened, so the knife isn't the cause of the stabbing. The knife isn't the stabbing implement, I should say. So we're going to get a third knife, presumably, at some point soon. Well, maybe not. There's a reason for that, but we'll get to it. You seem happy, Mr. Wright. Happy? We just got handed our ticket to go to town on this case. I don't know why I said this last time, but you didn't hear it, and I don't know why I keep like feeling the need to clarify that. But well, I said it, so let's just move on. I don't know why Phoenix feels that it is so important that we have these two cases connected. Obviously, it is going to be important because, like, the game isn't going to introduce extraneous elements for no reason. But it doesn't make sense in the world why he's so concerned. Aside from, I guess he's just, like, interested in it. And if there's the potential that they are connected, I mean, you want to pursue that to the fullest extent. But see, he seems more concerned, at least given this line, about the fact that he's allowed to investigate this other case than the fact that, it is connected. If that makes any sense. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Let's move on. With the link between the two cases established, we finally have some leverage. I guess... Yeah, okay. So he was figured that they were connected. But he had... And he's been trying to get into the other one. He's been trying to establish that connection. Yeah, I guess it was them happening at the same time and whatnot. It does make sense that he would figure that out. It's just kind of... So it's not just my meta-knowledge of tropes and stuff that's telling me that. It actually does make sense that he's thinking that. Okay, never mind. That whole conversation was completely unnecessary. Let's go. Let's move. Now we can finally get Gant to testify about the details. Have I pressed this one? 515? But that's when Detective Goodman is going to the prosecutor's office. What? Funny, isn't it? A murder at the prosecutor's place and a murder at her place at the very same time! What are the chances? Coincidence? This is just my gut feeling, but I'd say there's a 0.001% chance of that happening. Chief Dad, please tell us more about the incident. Chief, the defense's position is simply this. The connection between these two cases has already been proven. Heh, you don't say! Well, out with it, Wright. What's your connection? Yes, out with it, Mr. Wright. The connection is a place mentioned in the testimony we just heard. The knife found in the lot was stolen from the police department's evidence room. Not to mention the victim had on him the case number on the knife's evidence tag. And we also know that the detective murdered at the police department was killed in that very same evidence room. Indeed. But the knife would have had to have been stolen half an hour before the prosecutor's office murder even happened. Like a half hour before 5:15 to get the knife to the prosecutor's office. Indeed, there do seem to be too many connections for it to be a coincidence. You two make a good pair! It took my men 2 days to find out what you deduced right here! Chief, I request that you release your information on the victim at the police department. See, that's the tricky part. It hasn't been announced yet and all. You get the information unofficially? Sure, why not? It's unofficial after all. What? Really? Who would have guessed? I'll cooperate, but I can't reveal the name of the victim at the department, okay? If you're going to tell us a little, why not tell us everything? Ah, well, case information is sticky stuff. You have to do everything properly. Oh, well. I guess I might as well try and get what I can out of him. You know, okay, I went straight for ID number this time. But I want to try the other ones. Because when I saw ID number was an option, I was like, wait, there's no way. And I went straight for it. Now I'm trying to, honestly, the optional stuff. Okay, what division was the victim stationed in? Oh, you want to know that, don't you? Do you? Aha! Criminal Affairs Division 1. The detective's responsible for homicide cases. Homicide? That would be the same division as Detective Gumshoe. Detective Gutman, who was killed in the underground parking lot, was homicide too. It's almost like a serial killer was after homicide detectives. Except this serial killing happened simultaneously, scientifically speaking. Well, I sure hope Detective Gumshoe isn't next on the list. So do I. 2 detectives, yeah, okay. Oh, it's gonna make me go. Oh. I thought there was... I thought that was longer, so... Okay, how about the gender of the victim? You wanna know that? Okay, a hint. Let's see, first hint, the gender, that's not female. Aha, he was a guy. Oh, what did I tell you, the voice show? Stop goofing around, Mr. Wright, this is serious business. Sorry, Your Honor. Sorry, Your Honor. Hey, tell that to the Chief of Police. Okay, okay. Okay. How about you tell me the victim's ID number? Sure, why not? It's not like you'll be able to tell who it is from that. Of course not. You won't tell me their name after all. No, we keep a tight lid on ID numbers, so don't get it. We keep a tight lid on ID numbers, so don't go getting your hopes up. Number is 584-2189. Well, that's quite long. And we have to remember these! It drives me nuts! I can't do it. You didn't even get the first number right. Well, right, does this tell you anything? The ID number, it tells me something. Actually, it does, Your Honor. It does. I think. Meaning? It has to be what I think it is. But what does this mean? Well, let's see what the defense has to say. You say the ID number of the detective who was murdered at the police department tells you something. What does it tell you? This.
Take that!
Witness? What is it, Mr. Wright? You're grinning like a schoolgirl on prom night. No, it's just so confused. And this is news. Ha! Just come out with both guns blazing, like you always do. The police department, prosecutor's office, 2 places, 2 detectives murdered at one time. Actually, I happen to have a police ID number here. Oh, is it yours? No, Your Honor, I'm a defense attorney. Remember? This is the ID number of our victim, a Detective Goodman. Shame on you, Righto! Personnel IDs are top secret! Detective Goodman's ID number is 5842189. And this means what exactly? Wait a minute. So I just realized that means Gant had Goodman's ID memorized. But he wasn't carrying it, he wasn't looking it up. He had that. Does he know? Like, if I asked him what Gumshoe's ID was, could he tell me? Wait on. Okay, sorry, I heard something. I don't know. I mean, just the idea that he knows the ID of this one particular officer is just kind of... Does it imply he knows it for all of the officers, or does it imply that he knows he has some special, he places some special significance on Goodman? And, that's something interesting I didn't think about last time. And this means what exactly? Huh? Wait. That ID number we heard from the chief earlier. Started with 82... I've forgotten. You didn't even get the first number right. Again. Well, okay, to be fair, you got the same wrong numbers. So it's not that he got confused again. He's still confused from the first time. But yeah, if you forget something, you're not going to remember like that. The chief number that the chief of police gave us was 5842189. Wait a second, right? What does this mean? That's what I want to know. The 2 numbers are identical. In other words, the detective killed in the police department's evidence room was Bruce Goodman. What does our witness think about that? Oh, ho, 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 sharp as a tack, righto! Sharp as a tack! But wait, Detective Goodman's our victim! He was killed at 5:15 in the underground parking lot! Yet, a Detective Bruce Goodman was also killed at the police department. In the evidence room, at the exact same time! That's impossible. So what we're saying is, the same person was killed at the same time, about a half hour away, and in a completely different location? Order! Chief, what does this mean? No, what I want to know is why didn't I hear about this? Yes, it's top secret, fine, but I'm the prosecutor in charge of this case. Now, just wait a second, were they no need to get all flustered? Your Honor, the police department has made a grave error in this case. Wait. I said, wait. Oh, didn't you hear me? The oversight, the grave error. Mr. Edgeworth, they're yours. What? How dare... We informed you yesterday! I believe it was our Officer Meekins who brought you the news. Officer Meekins? Mr. Wright, where have we heard that name before? Wait. Ha! Bandaged head. Just like Honest Guy. But if he really did it at 5:15, and the theory that I have is correct, which I have no basis for, aside from the fact that some things that were mentioned earlier, like make the timeline match up and stuff, then I don't think he can possibly be the guy either. So I think it's gotta be Gant. Or Marshall. I think those two are still the top two ranks in my who's the guy the rankings. Unless somebody else gets introduced. But I mean, they've already introduced quite a few characters. Well, we got the victim, the culprit's sister. Or the suspect's sister. Two others. Let's see, how many did, What is... Yeah, I feel like no other case has had this many characters so far. Maybe well, okay, no, because if you go with the past case, then the whole thing with DL6 puts Turnabout Goodbyes over by quite a bit. Maybe I could still introduce some new characters, especially considering we've got our own past case. That's definitely going to be important somehow or other. Excuse me, but is Mr. Edgeworth, anywhere on the premises? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got your report, sir. You don't mean him. According to Meekins, you didn't accept the report. Hard to believe. Your officer, he told me, he said that report had nothing to do with the Lana Sky incident. Detective Bruce Goodman murdered in the police department evidence room. I can't read. Ugh. Mr. Edgeworth, the victim's name is written right on top of the report. Ah, why didn't your officer tell me? Honestly, I'm not sure if the officer was capable of making the connection. It did seem challenged. In any case, this is a serious error. A gross negligence of duty on your part, Worthy. But sir, you could have submitted that report this morning to the court as evidence. Then No such luck this time, Worthy. Or should I say unworthy? What? Now what was the second rule of evidence law, And I said during this part that I noticed while watching the part before it that they did mention that there were 2 laws, but they didn't mention what the second one is, and now they are, and I'm glad they finally are. It makes me wonder if they don't come important later. Probably. Not in this case, and like, eventually, because I mean, we're dealing with evidence all the time. Well, Mr. Wright? It's, Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And how is this rule relevant? Normally, you submit a list of evidence to be used in court before the trial. This report wasn't on that list, so we couldn't use it until it was... I couldn't submit this evidence until a connection was proven in court. The connection was just proven by Writer over here. Good job, Writer, my boy. Huh? I was just doing my job. No! No! It seems we've come to the end of this trial. I know you're going through a tough time, Worthy, what with all those rumors. You were even in the defendant's chair just this past December. I apologize for this terrible lack of due diligence on my part. No, Mr. Edgeworth, please, just give me one day. I'll get to the bottom of what happened. It's the last thing I do. You'd better get results this time, really. You have my profound apologies, sir. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth. I don't think there's ever been an error this serious in the history of this court. See, this happened last time too. I'm getting my old person voices conflated, but I feel like I've done a better job at keeping them separate this time, but yeah, I'm flubbing it up now. I just did. Anyway. But yeah. I don't think there's ever been an error. Wait a minute. Old person voices. How old is... 65. You know, we don't have the judge's profile here. Huh. Not much older. Huh. I don't think there's ever been an error this serious in the history of this court. I will grant one further day, as the prosecution has requested. Will that be sufficient, Mr. Edgeworth? Your Honor, thank you. I think is what he said. I accidentally flashed past it. Whatever your punishment for this is, I hope for your sake that it's not decisive. Very well, court is adjourned. Speaking of terrible mistakes that I'm not going to let happen again, let's save this twice. Okay, wait. So this is the one from the first time I tried that. I'm gonna do the other one here. But yeah, I can choose either one of these. Oh wait, no, oh, we're done. Speaking of mistakes that I plan on not making again, yeah, I saved it twice, so that I don't have to play through the whole case again if my audio doesn't record next time. But hopefully, also speaking of problems that I don't plan on having again, I won't not record my audio next time. Which is to say that I will record my audio next time. Which is to say, join me next time as we do investigating and I record my audio. Yeah.